Advanced English Arabic Learning Session 89. Temper tantrums often occur in response to unmet needs or desires. Temper tantrums are unpleasant and disruptive behaviors or emotional outbursts. When I was a kid, I would throw an all-out tantrum in the parking lot of the dentist's office. The fast food chains have become totems of Western economic development. Nether region is slang for the buttocks, groin, and genitals of human body, separately or collectively. Some giant paws at her nether regions. Slobber hung in frothy ropes from the dog's mouth. Tax withholding is good for the government and bad for taxpayers. In the past you could spread the blame, but now the buck stops here. Responsibility. It's one of those thingamabobs that can give you driving directions. You have previously set the underside of their plate by holding it over a candle. A web-footed bird has a bill not beak. I swore I wasn't going to tell her, but she winkled it all out of me. I tried hard to resist, but in the end I yielded to temptation and ate it all. Surrender. He made every effort to avoid yielding to the temptation. Don't succumb to the temptation to have just one cigarette. The manatee is a sea cow of tropical Atlantic coasts and estuaries. Stirrup is one of a pair of devices attached to each side of a horse's saddle. She laughed when she saw me scooting down the slope on my backside. Lawyering is a craft that takes a long time to become proficient at. It's hump day and perhaps the toughest day of the week for you. Wednesday, regarded as the hump day because it is midpoint of a typical working week. I didn't want to ghost her. We may end up holding the wolf by the ears, be in a precarious position. An acronym contains a set of initial letters from a phrase that usually form another word, such as radar or scuba. She consulted lawyers to make sure everything was kosher. He wants the matter to be put on the back burner, having low priority. Amphitrite, in Greek mythology, the goddess of the sea, wife of the god Poseidon. After 10 months the tree burst asunder, apart, and from it came forth Adonis. If something tears asunder, it is violently separated into 2 or more parts. Waders are high waterproof boots, or a waterproof garment for the legs and body, used especially by anglers. When someone makes a knockoff copy of an iPhone, this is an example of an iPhone clone. Podcast is a portmanteau, a made-up word coined from a combination of the words iPod and broadcast. She envisioned the admiring glances of guests seeing her home. When a relationship is strained, the road is constricted and clogged with negative messages. He started teaching at his alma mater, the university, school, or college that one formerly attended. The atmosphere was nothing special, but the food was amazeballs. The world of fashion is almost entirely insane, the people who work in it mainly certifiable. Urn is a tall, rounded vase with a stem and base, especially one used for storing the ashes of a cremated person. A chore wheel with the names of all of his housemates on one layer, daily chores on another, and weekly chores on a third. One day, out of the blue, she announced that she was leaving. If you get a phone call out of the blue from an old friend, it's utterly unexpected. They were waiting for their luggage to appear on the carousel at the airport. Mobster is a member of an organized group of violent criminals, a gangster. The gallery has 1,000 prints engraved and etched by celebrated masters. A nifty bit of sleight of hand got the ashtray into the correct position. The green hill was crisscrossed with a network of sheep tracks. Crisscross applesauce refers to a way that kids sit on the floor. A leading British team of chemists has joined the brain drain to the United States. The departure of skilled workers can weaken developing countries. There's room for improvement in the way the program is managed. Periphery is the outside boundary, parts, or surface of something. Perimeter is, mathematics, the sum of the distance of all the lengths of the sides of an object. Slander is an untrue defamatory statement that is spoken orally. Libel is an untrue defamatory statement that is made in writing. This violinist may be an amateur, but he's on a par with professional orchestral players. Sheep are animals that chew their cud. Catching the beginning signs of cauliflower ear will protect you from other complications down the road. A cauliflower ear certainly hurts at first. It is the result of a blow to the ear. The skin of the lower neck must be palpated for cysts and infection. His heart was palpitating and his palms sweated. The magazine fired at God, royalty, and politicians, using cartoons and lampoons. He is clearly lampooning bigotry, intolerance, and prejudice. Diplomats, heads of state, and royalty shared tables at the banquet. The brilliance of her clothes, her jewels, all revealed her royalty. The royalties paid to writers for recorded music. Royalty is a sum of money paid to a patentee for the use of a patent. She suspects me of trying to weasel my way into his affections. That scoundrel sets a bad example for the other young men. A contagious viral disease of animals that primarily affects swine. The cow is the female of certain other large animals, for example elephant, rhinoceros, whale, or seal. A Home Office pathologist carried out the autopsy. The lesions may be malignant and should be biopsied. The animal must be autopsied as soon as possible. She knew that if she stated her errand she would not be able to see him. An errand is a short journey to deliver, buy, or collect something. Errands such fetching clothes from the cleaners, taking sacks of leaves to the compost center, etc. Such men were the marrow of the organization. A sight which chilled me to the marrow, to one's innermost being. My errand boy is sick today, and there is no one else to send. His fees were contingent on the success of his search. Precautions are taken with anyone who seems contagious. The chandelier is surely a symbol of the sun, something almost pagan. Bidet is a low oval basin used for washing one's genital and anal area. A bidet bowl is required by law to be present in every bathroom containing a toilet bowl. Natural loofahs are actually made from a gourd in the cucumber family. Loofah is an edible plant, same a young zucchini or summer squash. The fable of the sick lion and the wary fox. He had conjured up a monster fit for any fable. Believers accused the cosmologists of inventing fables on the birth of the universe. Buddha Stories is a collection of animal fables that teach the moral principles of Buddhism. The budget dashed hopes of an increase in funding. A casual atmosphere with a dash of sophistication. He had willfully ignored the evidence. They hoped to conjure up the spirit of their dead friend. Anne conjured up a delicious homemade hot pot. He was one of the avengers of his father's death. Salt solutions exfoliate rocks on evaporating. Diagnosing cancer from cells exfoliated into the intestine. Tarmac, short for tarmac atom, is a road surface material patented in 1901 in the UK. Asphalt concrete is a composite material commonly used to surface roads. You will need to ted the hay before it can be raked and baled. Zest the orange and lemon, taking care to discard all of the white pith. I used to try to beat past records to add zest to my monotonous job. He beat the dirt off his clothes with his hat and then unsaddled the horse. The pith is the spongy white tissue lining the rind of oranges, lemons, and other citrus fruits. A cap is a lie. A capper is a liar, so if someone is capping, they are lying. Turkey has a bellicose attitude towards its NATO allies. Hang means suspend or be suspended from above with the lower part dangling free. Babies don't seem to like strained peas, even though the puree is easy for them to eat and digest. Marrow fat pea is a pea of a large variety which is processed and sold in cans. I spend much of my time at the shops, wandering through the aisles. Karl and his wife honeymooned on a remote isle. In the German poem, this is a veritable Isle of Maidens where no man ever enters. He was kept dangling, offered a place in the team and then dropped. A dingleberry is a term for a small piece of poop clinging to the butt of a human or animal. It's sometimes used as a way to call someone foolish or stupid. The sun parakeet, also known in aviculture as the sun kana. Low-key means keeping things secret while high-key means letting everyone know. We're having a party at my place but keeping it low-key so the neighbors don't complain. A bunch of your friends will show up, mooching food. To mooch is to take advantage of other people's generosity without giving anything in return. My brother has been mooching off me and my wife ever since he lost his job. Files of tourists stream up the narrow lanes of Mont Saint-Michel. A file of English soldiers had ridden out from Perth. A scratch or cut in Henry's arm had mortified, of flesh, be affected by gangrene or necrosis. His columns are just rationales for every kind of rancid prejudice. He had been arrested for being drunk and molesting passers-by. He tends to fly off the handle when people disagree with him. The quilts are wadded with thick natural cotton. The end of September is the time to lift and store carrots, dig up. The European Community lifted its oil embargo against South Africa. This is a hackneyed adventure lifted straight from a vintage Lassie episode. He had been caught lifting a coat from a department store, steal. Miss Green is giving me a lift to school, a free ride in another person's vehicle. The company is hunting for the mole who revealed details of planned job cuts. Mole, a large solid structure on a shore serving as a pier, breakwater, or causeway. Newbie is a person who is inexperienced in a particular sphere or activity, especially computing or the use of the Internet. More kids than ever are speeding, tripping, and getting stoned. She had her arm in a sling, a bandage or soft strap looped round the neck to support an injured arm. Crock pot is a large electric cooking pot used to cook stews and other dishes slowly. There is no assurance that her infant child will not be ravished from her breast. Busboy is a young man who clears tables in a restaurant or cafe. Butcher is a person selling refreshments, newspapers, etc. on a train or in a theater. They can partake in golfing or clay pigeon shooting. Clay pigeon shooting is a saucer-shaped piece of baked clay thrown up in the air for shooting. Clay pigeon is a disc made of clay that is shot into the air for sport. Back in the day, he'd had one of the greatest minds I'd ever come across. Truncheon is a short, thick stick carried as a weapon by a police officer. She silently blessed the premonition which had made her pack her best dress. Lights and darks are juxtaposed arbitrarily to create a sense of. He put some coffee on to percolate. A coffee percolator is a type of pot used for the brewing of coffee by continually cycling the boiling. A truck filled his mirror and lumbered past, move in a slow, heavy, awkward way. He was taken into his father-in-law's firm and became a partner when the old man got past it. Greenbacks were paper currency issued by the United States during the American Civil War. A in cinema denoting a facility such as a cinema or restaurant that one can visit without leaving one's car. A botanically inspired ornamental pattern frets the ceiling. The fact that I have neither chick nor child means I am able to travel wherever I want, whenever I want. My friends and I rollerskated endlessly on warm summer afternoons. A recession is a widespread economic decline that lasts for several months. The end. Coming next. Session 90.